Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Alino reporting for Sportskeeda MMA, and I'm happy to be joined by my guest today, who's quickly becoming a fan favorite here in Canada. She's coming off her win there at UFC 289 in Vancouver. She is Diana Belbita. How you doing, Diana?
I'm good, coming after a win, so I'm happy. What can I say? I enjoy it.
That's good. And you just mentioning there, like UFC 289 in Vancouver. What were the feelings like for you? You're an adopted Canadian, and the UFC comes back to Canada for the first time in 4 years and kicks off with you starting off the event. So, how did it make you feel to be included on this card?
To be honest, was a dream come true because I wanted to fight in Canada for a long time, especially because I just moved here 3, 4 years ago. And I felt like Canada and Canadian people, they just adopted me and they were welcoming me. And I kind of wanted to show them I'm one of them. I'm one of of their fighters, and I want to represent them. And when I hear that UFC will come to Canada, I said like, okay, of course, I want to be in this card, and I not just want to be on the card. I want to have a good fight, and I want to show them that I can put it on a show in front of my people. And I was even more happier and motivated that a lot of my teammates they traveled with me on a fight week, and they were there for me. So I had like 20 people with me in a fight week. And that means a lot because, I come in Canada 3, 4 years ago and I was not even speaking English at that time. And now I fought in front of Canadians and I had all their support. So it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Did you have any more pressure because you kicked off the card? You're setting the tone for the Canadian fighters, and you got the win there. So, was there a lot of relief, less stress after you won your fight?
To be honest, I was praying to be the first fight on a card because I'm so nervous for my teammates. To be honest, I'm more nervous for my teammates than myself because when I go in a cage, I enjoy that. I enjoy every minute there, and I know everything depends of me. I decide, I take the decisions. But when one of my teammates fight and I'm not involved, I cannot help him or her. It's weird. So I was praying to be the first fight and be able to watch the other fights after, having no pressure. And you asked me about the pressure. No, I had absolutely no pressure. I don't know what happened before this fight, but I just enjoyed every second. When I started the warm up, I was like, something is wrong with me. I don't feel like I'm nervous. Maybe I'm not motivated enough for this fight. Maybe it's something wrong. Like, I don't feel that pressure that, oh, I go there and I want to win. Of course, I wanted to win, but it just felt natural. And I even told my coaches, oh, I love this feeling. I miss this feeling, like it's that feeling like when you are an amateur and you don't really care what happens, you just go there for the experience. And this time I had the chance to enjoy that experience.
And was that your first time in Vancouver, or have you been there before?
Yeah, it was the first time in Vancouver, and I was so happy that the weather was so beautiful. All my fight week, I was able to run outside, so it was beautiful. The first day when I landed, I was a little bit off of energy. Usually after I fly, I'm off of energy, and I was like, oh, maybe I will just run 25, 30 minutes. But I started running, and the running trail was so beautiful. And every time I wanted to see more, to see the boats and what's after the boats. And I end up running 1 hour and like 20 minutes just because of that.
Wow. So what's a fight week like? Because I can't imagine, like, for a fighter, what you're going through mentally. Like, everybody, they're trying to know that, okay, I have to make the weight a day before, the media obligations, the interviews, but what's going through your mind during that week when the plane lands, you get to Vancouver? Are you nervous during the week of a fight, or are you a lot more calm than maybe some of your teammates?
I'm never nervous about the fight until I go to the arena. And this time I was not nervous even when I went to the arena. So this time I had I didn't have that kind of feelings. But I'm usually nervous about the weight because I always have to cut a lot of weight. So I kind of let like 10 pounds, even more for the last 5 days. And I'm like, oh, I hope my body will not just trick me this time, to not lose all the weight. I hope the weather is nice and I can run. So after I land and I go to the hotel and check the gear, that's the moment when I feel like, okay, this is getting real now. Now I am here. It's no way back. And all I can do is just make the weight, be ready, and then go there to fight. I'm not too emotional, so I'm not nervous. I just enjoy it. I take as many pictures and videos as I can because I always want to have all those memories. And I love to print those pictures and have them in a photo book for the future.
That's nice. And just want to give our listeners and viewers a better idea because you're fighting out of a place like Stony Creek, Ontario, where we haven't had the best of winters, like freezing temperature all the time. So you're talking about like going for a run on the nice trails in Vancouver, but here in Ontario, we couldn't really do that. So how is it tough when you're preparing for a fight and going outside and training isn't probably the best thing for your health?
I like to fight in the summer because just because of the weather, but that doesn't happen all the time. So then I have to run in the gym, to run on a treadmill. I'm not a big fan of running in the gym, but I'm still okay with that. Like, I'm okay, this is what I can do right now, so I'm just gonna do it. But I really enjoy running outside, especially because we have a beautiful lake here. So I just run at the lake. I already know all the dogs, so I can hug all the dogs every time. So I feel like that's my meditation. I take my energy from there. So I love when I fight in the summer and I'm able to run outside.
Yeah, I agree that I wouldn't want to go in the winter. So summer seems like the best time there. And you're a fighter now, like you mentioned there, coming to Canada a few years ago and not knowing English. So who has been like some of the people that have really helped you along and made you feel more comfortable in a new country?
To be honest, for example, Kyle Nelson, he just fought in the same card with me in Vancouver. He was one of the people that helped me the most. Like Kyle was my translator for a while. So he was translating from normal English that people speak to my broken English. So he he tried to explain me every word using another English words. So I think that helped me the most to learn English because there was nobody to just translate me in Romanian. My coach, my striking coach, Alin Halmojan, he is Romanian, but he just didn't want to make it easy for me, and he wanted me to learn English, and he wanted me to work for it. And I'm so lucky. I'm blessed to have a lot of people around me that they were helping me with everything. For example, I have my small teammate. He's 9 years old, Tyson, and he was running with me every day. And I run twice a day, like in the morning 10 kilometers, in the night 10 kilometers. So he was with me, going for a run with me every time, just because he wanted to help me. So it's a 9 years old kid, and I'm blessed to have him. I'm blessed to have him and all other people that help me.
That's good. And like that energy after you were announced as the winner, unanimous decision. You get interviewed there in the octagon by Daniel Cormier and the Vancouver fans cheering you on. So, as a fighter, how does that make you feel when the crowd is so supportive like that?
I even realized the energy that's around the cage, that the energy from the crowd, even during my fight. Like I felt that when I got on top, at some point I was on my back in a fight, and then I got on top, and I hear the the crowd vibe, the energy. I hear them screaming, and that was the moment when I realized they're actually supporting me. They understand that I'm one of them. So I was happy to have that win in front of them and be able to thank them at the end of the fight. And come on, who doesn't want the interview with DC? Let's be honest.
The legend there. And you really are a Canadian now because you're so polite, thanking the crowd. Like you really have become an adopted Canadian. So it's good to see there. Aside from that, though, now as you go on in your UFC journey, how have you maybe looked at the division right now? Are there any exciting fights that you keep an eye on? Are there any fighters that really jump out to you that think like, you know what, I would really love to get in there. I think I'm prepared now to maybe step up to that challenge.
I watch UFC most of the time because, I'm a fight fan and I like to watch it, not just my division. I like to know what happened in every division. I cannot say a name that I want in the future. I was just somebody asked me yesterday, and I just said Jeannie Frey. I would really like to fight her because I always liked her since she was in Invicta. So I'm like, okay, I don't know for how long she's gonna fight, so I will be happy to fight her before she retires. If not, I don't really care. I will watch. I know soon it's Stella Nunes it's gonna fight, and she catches my attention because she was a pillow fighter, like she was fighting with the pillows. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I'm like, I would like to fight this girl too. But I know she has already a fight booked, so I will keep my eyes on her. And I don't know, maybe after that fight, I really hope she's gonna win. I wish her the best, and let's both of us come after a win. And why not meet in a 2-3 months? Why not?
Love to see that. The UFC matchmakers, if they're watching this, there's opponents there that you mentioned. We'd love to see that. But you mentioned there you're a fight fan, and as a fighter, like with the UFC celebrating 30 years now of their promotion, when did you become a fan of the sport, or like when were you first exposed to it? And do you remember like any fighters that really drew your attention?
Oh my God. So here it's a funny story because first time when I watched the fight, an MMA fight, was girls fight, and was Jessica Andrade. So she had a pretty tough fight. I don't know who was her opponent, but was a bloody fight. So I was just watching. I remember I was a kid, kind of a kid, a teenager. And I was like, oh my God, those girls are monsters. How they can fight like that? And I was like, they just want to hurt each other. And it's funny because a few years later, I became one of those monsters, and I've seen, I'm not that bad. I'm still a nice girl, I'm still a good person. So that was funny because from that what I had in my mind at that moment, thinking that, oh, that's crazy, who will do that, and ending up to be part of that and enjoy it, like it's a funny story.
Like you ended up becoming that's an interesting one too, because like at that time, like Jessica Andrade, and now she's still doing her thing. Like, what have you seen out of her career that this longevity, like every year she seems to be in the title mix still at this stage?
I know, and to be honest, I saw her in person, and when I fought in Abu Dhabi in Fight Island, in Yas Island, and I was so shy I couldn't even say hi to her because I look up to her and I'm kind of a fan of her, and I was so shy that I couldn't even say hi to her, so I just passed by her, and I was in my car, says, look, there is Jessica. And now I know she trained with my opponent, with Maria Oliveira. And I was like, that's a little bit sad for me. Like she's helping my opponent and I like this girl, but whatever.
And being a fan too, like, do you watch like it often? Because I know some fighters when like their fight, they just like to focus on their fight, and after their fight's over, maybe like take a break from it. Like, do you still keep watching it every week, even though your fight's done?
Of course, I'm watching every week. I watched the whole fight card that night after I fought. I just
Wow.
went in my hotel room, called my mom, and watched the fights at the same time with my mom. um, yeah, of course I'm watching it. I love it. Like it's part of my life and I enjoy it. Like sometimes I feel like when I'm in training camp and I'm very close to my fight, I kind of feel like mentally I need to take a break of watching the fight. So probably 2 weeks I don't watch fights. I kind of need to hold all that emotions because for every fight I always pick a guy or a girl that I like and I cheer for them. I cannot watch the fights like, oh, I don't care who is gonna win. I cannot do that. I'm always like, I want him or her to win, and I start, oh yeah, going on top now and that and that. So for before my fight, like 2 weeks, I need a break of that. I need to hold to save that energy for myself.
That makes it more fun like that. You get to root for a fighter, you pick one that you wanna cheer for, and just adds on to, the experience. But, like, do you see yourself getting involved? Like, there's a lot of fighters in the broadcasting, like, as an analyst role, like, is that something you'd like to do in the future? Because you watch it so often.
I'm not sure if I want to be an analyst or something. I want to be a commentator. why not? I'm trying, but I supposed to comment 2 events, and both events got canceled at some point. So, but I will do it because I want it, because it's so funny that 3, 4 years ago I didn't even speak English, and now I want to comment an MMA event in English. When everybody, at the beginning, everybody said, "Oh, you are not gonna stay long in Canada. You don't even speak the language." And now I'm like, not just I'm gonna stay here, but I'm gonna shine. I'm gonna do my best here. So that's the first thing I wanted to start commentating. And then I want to become a catman for sure. My coach is a catman, it's a UFC catman, and he does a great job. So he teaches me, and I want to become a catman. I'm trying my best.
Good. And yeah, I don't know, your English is really good. I don't know about I think you can probably start broadcasting and getting in the commentary booth right now. Like don't be too hard on yourself there. But in terms of your career too, like there was an exciting event that recently happened with KSW. I know you had a pass there in the Coliseum show, that just being in the stadium. Like this was the second time they had it. You were on the first one. Like, is it a much different environment, like fighting in a stadium compared to now when you go to an arena?
To be honest, I'm so happy that I had that experience. And I'm so happy that in my life, I went through a lot of experience. Like I fought in KSW in Colosseum, and then I fought at UFC Apex with no people in the arena. So it's so different, but I'm happy that I went through those things, because when I fought in KSW, I was a kid. I don't know, 21 or 20 years old. So I didn't even know how to fight at that time. I just went there because I thought it's cool, and I didn't know if I'm gonna win or not. I just wanted to try, trying my chance. But I didn't even realize that, like, how big that arena is, how big the Colosseum is. Like I remember when I fought there were like 55,000 people or almost 60,000 people. So that's huge. But I didn't realize, I just remember that the walkout was so long that my song was playing two times. That was
Oh,
the only thing I realized. And I just saw a few pictures and a few videos, and the cage was looking so small in the middle of the whole arena, the Colosseum. So I was like, oh my God, that was a big event. And I didn't realize I'm there. And then I fought at Apex with nobody in the crowd. And I was just hearing my breathing, and I hear my punches and coaches, and even the people with the camera, I even hear them. So, but I'm happy that I had all this experience.
and is it much different? Like I've seen some fighters say that you can't really tell in a big stadium with the sound. It maybe goes up to the ceiling and you don't really hear it. But like, did you really hear? Did it feel like you were fighting in front of almost 60,000 people at the time?
No, I didn't notice any experience, but I told you I was a kid at that time. So
Yeah.
I was so nervous that all I saw in front of me was my opponent and the cage. And I didn't really, I don't know, probably the pressure was too much for me at that age. Like right now, to be honest, I enjoy it. I enjoy it different. I manage the emotions and everything a lot different. But at that time, was a little bit too much for me. And I don't regret it, but if I will go back in time, I will not take that fight for sure. No, especially because it was at the wrong weight class. Same when I signed with UFC, I fought at 125 for like 2 times, and that was too small for that weight class. And no, if I will go back in time, that's something I will change. I will not take that fight for in the Colosseum. Even if it was a nice experience, but no, I will not do it.
Great to see there. And like, would you want to have that fight back? Like, if it took place in your weight class, she's in the UFC. Like, if she were to go down to your weight classes, that a rematch you would love to have?
If she will come down to 115, I will be happy to welcome her to my division. But I think it's hard for her. I think she already has a hard time to make 125. I remember she missed the weight at some point, and she's a lot bigger than me. Like with me, it's not that hard to make 115. I'm tall, but I don't have a lot of muscle. But she's a pretty muscular girl, so I don't think she is gonna be able to make 115. So I wish her the best. I like her. I'm watching her, and I'm always happy for her. She's a striker, so I love strikers. That's me. I really have fun watching her fighting, so I'm happy for her. But if she will come to 115, I will never say no to that fight. Same with Molly McCann. I love Molly. She's crazy, and I love that. But if I will be more than happy to have a rematch with her, but on my weight class because I'm too small for 125.
And like, is there fighters that you really go out of your way to watch? Like, I'm sure when the UFC, when Dana White comes on the Instagram and the Twitter, and he starts saying, "We got this fight, BMF titles on the line. We got Alex Pereira going up," and he makes all these exciting announcements. Is there a fight that really jumps out to you? Like, whatever I'm doing on that Saturday, I have to put it in the back and I gotta watch this fight because two fighters that I really enjoy watching are gonna be on the same card.
Oh, that's me all the time. Every time there is a fight that I absolutely want to watch, and I fight everybody if they are like, "Oh, you have to do something else." I don't care what else I have to do. Okay, Saturday it's for fights, and I'm not doing something else. Like if Gaethje fights or Dustin Poirier fights, I want to watch it, and especially now because they fight each other, I don't care what I have to do that day. I'm gonna watch that fight. Like I remember I was at a Muay Thai event, I had some of my teammates fighting there and I cornered my teammates. I helped my teammates with the training and then I cornered them for the Muay Thai events. And I remember Gaethje, his last fight, and I was there between my teammates' fights with the phone watching the fights. So I told to the other coach from my gym to warm up the guys that they have to go and fight soon. I was like, okay, I just want to watch this fight. I cannot miss this fight. So I was there watching the fight, looking at my teammates, looking back on the fight, at the fight. So yeah, I'm a crazy fight man.
And I've seen that you've done a rapid fire here, quick fire questions in a past Sportskeeda interview. It's been a fan favorite, so I'm gonna try asking you a few other questions here, some quick fire ones, some fun ones. What's a favorite movie that you have?
Warrior. Warrior, it's all time favorite movie for me because of the story. I love it.
What favorite TV series?
The Hundred and the Vampire Diaries, and of course Naruto. But that I think that's anime. I don't know. I love TV series.
You didn't mention anime there, so what's your favorite anime?
Ta-da! Naruto is my favorite anime, and I don't think there is something that can change that.
If you were to put an anime Mount Rushmore, so like the top ones, what would you have on your list of top anime?
So Naruto is first. I like Avatar, The Legend of Korra, Inuyasha, Castlevania, and I can give you a longer list, but that's top five.
That's a good one. Favorite food?
Uh, if we consider dessert as normal food, then it's chocolate lava cake and vanilla ice cream is my favorite.
Sounds good. Are you a pizza person?
Pizza person?
Like someone who enjoys pizza?
Um, I'm not a huge fan of pizza. I like it, but I will probably not eat pizza more than once in a month.
Okay, so this is an interesting question that I like to ask some people because we get some interesting answers. When you hear people order pineapple on pizza, would you find that disgusting or would you try that?
I don't really care. I cannot say I don't like it or I really like it. Usually when I order pizza, I don't order pizza with pineapple, but if I have to eat it, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm not pro, I'm not contra. I'm like somewhere in the middle.
Who would you most who would you say was the most like reliable if you were to say let's go on a road trip and drive somewhere, which of your teammates would you think be most comfortable with behind the wheel?
From my teammates,
Yeah, like who if they're driving, like okay, this person I can trust, they're calm, they're not going to drive crazy. Who would you trust the most?
there it's my friend Jen. She's Tyson's mom. Tyson is 9 years old, so because she's a mom, she's always careful the way she drives. I don't drive, so I'm always scared about driving. So that's why I want the parents to try.
And what's a dream fight that you would have?
I would like to fight Zhang Weili because she's the champ. Everybody wants to fight the champ, so I think that's an easy question.
Good one. And final one here. As a fan of MMA, what's a dream fight that you would like to see as a fan?
John Jones versus Ningano. I think everybody wants to see that fight at this time. But also, I love and I'm happy that soon we will see Gaethje versus Poirier.
What's your prediction for that rematch, Gaethje and Poirier?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard because Poirier has the technique. Gaethje it's kind of crazy, and he's just going for it. It's gonna be a bloody fight, and my heart will break and be happy at the same time, no matter who is gonna win. So I don't want to say.
Good. And before we wrap up here and let you go, how can our viewers here at Sportskeeda MMA stay up to date with everything you're doing and follow you on social media?
I sorry, I didn't understand everything.
Oh, sorry. Like, how can our listeners and viewers here at Sportskeeda MMA follow you on Instagram? Do you have Twitter where they can follow you on social media?
So if they want to see the serious part of me, they should follow me on Instagram because usually there I'm pretty serious, talking more about fights and posting about fights. So Diana Belbita on Instagram. But if they want to see that funny part and all the jokes and everything, just follow me on Twitter, Diana Belbita on Twitter, and there we usually have a lot of conversation in the comments.
Highly recommend that follow. Deanna, I really appreciate you sharing your time and coming on here on Sportskeeda MMA and talking about your experience in Vancouver and all your experiences as a fighter. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.